Installment of Sports Hour, live from Hendricks Hall. I'm your host, Trevor Hauer, and with me is Sarah Gorton. Again, we're going to do the same thing we've been doing this whole semester, going over some AFC, then NFC, then we're going to get into a little bit of baseball. But starting off with the AFC, this was just the big elephant in the room. Bills and the Texans, and the Bills, in the rain, shut them out 40-0. What a game.
40-0. So good. Literally, this was so much fun to watch. Not if you're a Texans fan, for sure. But, hey, I'm a Bills fan, so...
Texans fans exist? Wait, what is this? Wait, hold on. I don't think they exist.
Honestly, not really.
But Houston was down to their third-string quarterback. It was Davis Mills against Josh Allen. I mean, who do you think's going to win?
Yeah. Honestly.
In the rain.
Yeah. I mean, Josh did start. He started. His first throw was an interception, but hey,
yeah.
Look at it. Then they went up 40-0, and he had quite a few touchdowns. So one throw is you gotta look past one throw all the time.
Stephon Diggs just always finds ways to get open. Mm-hmm. It's just so amazing what he can do on the field. Same with Emmanuel Sanders too.
Yeah.
They just find ways to get open, and when they're in open space and you're going up against these Texans defensive backs who aren't very good, it's over. And it was pretty close in the start. Both teams were turning the ball over. Houston turned it over inside the 10, I believe, and they didn't get that close again because their quarterback is just so terribly bad. Mm-hmm. Davis Mills is not good at all.
Yeah, and that was the big thing in the game is that the Bills, they forced 5 turnovers, so that was really the deal breaker. The defense has been really looking good lately, and I really hope we can carry that the rest of the season, but definitely this upcoming game for sure against KC. But yeah, they have been really looking good, and they forced all those turnovers, and it's just fun to watch.
Yeah, Greg Rousseau, they're one of their draft picks this year, and Carlos Basham Jr., those players are really outstanding for the Bills, and you can tell in the future that they're going to be huge lethal weapons for that team. And not only that, just for this season right now as rookies, Rousseau's got an insane arm span, and Basham is super quick to rush the quarterback. I mean, this could be some good things for the Bills going into this year. Obviously, they're 3-1, and apparently on ESPN, they're number 1 in the power rankings. So, I mean, that's obviously good for something. So,
and can we just take a minute, just let it soak in that they are 3-1 while KC is only 2-2.
Yes.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, it's Kansas City, so they'll, I'm sure, work their way back up. But just that's why we got to take in this moment and just appreciate that they have a better record than the Chiefs.
Yeah, and speaking of that, they are actually playing against Kansas City on Sunday Night Football this week, so that should be a good game. I still would not sleep on the Kansas City Chiefs, but I think it's just going to be a 100% complete shootout. That's why I think it's going to be between Allen and Mahomes.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a really fun one to watch. Hoping for a win for some birthday magic that day because it's my birthday. So hopefully I'll stay happy. Go Bills, don't let me down, please. I believe in you.
That's the hope. Just win on Sarah's birthday. That's all we want.
That's all you need. You got it right there. It's in the bag.
That's all we want. And why don't you go over the next game on our list?
Okay, so next game on our list, we have the Bengals beating the Jaguars 24-21. And this one, we just saw
Thursday night. I mean, Urban Meyer's completely lost the team, and he's getting into some stuff off the field that's pretty controversial too.
Yeah.
But Jacksonville in this game took a 14-0 lead, and I thought that Lawrence was on his way to get his first career win, like some other rookie quarterback did this past week that we'll get into in a little bit. But nope, that obviously was not the case. The Bengals came back. Jamar Chase that LSU connection with their quarterback is so hard to stop. And obviously the running game with Joe Mixon and T. Higgins at wide receiver. They have a decent coach. I think Cincinnati's a team that you shouldn't sleep on. Jacksonville's just not very good right now.
No, and we see Burrow's throwing for 348 yards, but they just as a team unit, they just aren't having it, and obviously everything that's going on behind the scenes is just, it's not looking very good. They're 0 for 4 right now.
Yeah.
So it's not a very good situation for them. So we're gonna see how they go the rest of the season.
Yeah, it seems like it's an ongoing thing with Jacksonville. Like, they're just adopted the whole thing of losing. So, what are you gonna do if you're a Jacksonville fan? It's so bad right now.
It really is. It really is. And I mean, I guess you try to think that every team goes through that era of, being, but you never want that.
No.
For anyone. But so.
But Jacksonville's been doing this since pretty much when they came into the league in 1995. So this is, except for the year where they had that great defense and almost went to the Super Bowl against Philly. That was a pretty fun year for them. But ever since then, they've never really had a franchise quarterback. They've had Blake Bortles, who's never been a franchise quarterback. They hope Lawrence can be that guy, but as of this season, the season might be over for them, and I think it's time to start looking at draft position.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty rough for Jacksonville right now.
It really is. So, but we'll see what happens. You never know.
Yep, and then the next game on our list, I seriously can't believe that this happened. But, when you look at the game on paper, it should happen. Colts, my team, won a football game, ladies and gentlemen. They won a game. No hat throw this week. I told you last week if they lost to the Dolphins, went 0-4, I'd take 4 hats, stack them all on top, and throw it all at the same time. Obviously didn't happen. Their Colts former starting quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, was held to under 200 yards as he was just dinking it and dunking it down the middle for like 5 yards per attempt. That's what Jacoby Brissett does. And Wentz was heaving it down the field, obviously looked a lot more mobile, and receivers were getting open like Campbell, Pittman, and obviously Mo Alley Cox, who's the tight end, who caught 2 touchdowns that day, 3 receptions, 2 of them were touchdowns. And obviously they learned their lesson from the week prior. They kept giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor. He came in and scored a 23-yard touchdown right out of the gate. This was the most complete game I've seen from this team this whole season. And hopefully it continues because they're facing against Lamar Jackson, who's not just a running back anymore. He has an arm too. And the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football in front of the entire world. So that's going to be a true test to see if Indy can get back into the playoff hunt, climb back out of this hole, get 2 and 3. Because every team has to start off with 1 win. Then it goes to 2, then 3. You have to keep adding your wins. And the only way to get into the playoffs in the AFC with these teams that are rising, like the Bills and the Browns and the Bengals and the Raiders, obviously, is to win the games on your schedule. Don't rely on other teams to lose. So Colts won their game. Dolphins lost. And Dolphins fans are already calling the season. Colts fans are slowly starting to come back, but we're really not believing just yet. So that's kind of where I am with the Colts. What did you think about the Dolphins on Sunday?
I don't know. The Dolphins are they're just really struggling. So, I mean, and of course, as a Bills fan, it's like, but, they're not looking too good. I don't think they found the quarterback at all yet.
To think that they passed on Justin Herbert to take Tua Tagovailoa.
That's a real yikes move right there.
It's just like back in the day where they took Dante Culpepper in free agency over Drew Brees. Like, Dolphins, what are you doing?
Yeah, they clearly aren't the best decision makers in the moment. So, they're not looking too hot, and they're 1-3 right now. So, we'll see what happens with them. They're probably going to be another one that, like you said, the fans they're kind of throwing in the towel, but we'll see. Maybe they can get a good draft position, maybe make a good decision for once, but who knows?
Maybe trade for Deshaun Watson. Never know. Maybe. I've seen that possibility. I've seen him linked to the Eagles and Dolphins, but who knows? I just feel bad for Dolphin fans sometimes. But hey, my team got the W, the first one of the season, so we don't have to talk about this winless talk. So I'm good with that. We're not going to be the Jaguars of this year or the Browns or the Lions of this year, so I'm fine with that. Yeah. I really am fine with that. And so what's the next game on our list?
So the next one, we've got the Jets beating the Titans.
Wow.
So there were some big shockers. We were just talking about this before the show. Big shockers this week between the Jets winning and then the Giants winning. But the Jets beating the Titans.
Upset alert.
Upset alert.
And technically the Colts too. They were 5-point underdogs, which I thought was ridiculous against the Dolphins. But technically that was an upset. But this was truly an upset. The Jets and the Titans. Zach Wilson getting his first win as an NFL starter. Congratulations to him. I always thought he was the best quarterback available in that draft. I wasn't really a believer in Lawrence. I was more of a Zach Wilson kind of guy in the drafts, but he connected with Corey Davis, the former Titans receiver, for 53 yards, and the game, it wasn't the game tying. They took the lead 24-17 against his former team. Corey Davis burned them, and then they ended up winning in overtime. Kicking a field goal, I honestly think they should have iced it with a touchdown. They should have, but they ran some ridiculous third down running play that knocked them out of bounds 5 yards. But, I mean, the Jets, we know that they are very toxic in terms of like fan base and how they treat their team, and they boo them off the field if they lose. Even if they score like 30 points and they still lose, they'll get booed off the field. But you got to feel good for a guy like Zach Wilson. And for me especially, AFC South fan that cannot stand the Tennessee Titans, this one felt good for me as well.
Yeah, definitely. I can support you on that one as well. And so we'll see, because you know when you do the draft, I'm curious to see like what things would have been maybe if like Lawrence and Wilson had switched teams.
Yeah.
And if it would have turned out better for both quarterbacks, because they're both talented in their own right. So just to see like what they would have done with a different team, that would have been interesting. But like you said, this is at least a good notch in your belt for Wilson, at least finally after all this time. So we'll have to see what happens with the Jets the rest of the league season. Yeah,
that just proves that any given Sunday, like any team can win. You have to play the games on your schedule. That's why you have a regular season. That's why you have to win the games on your schedule to get to the playoffs, because it's any given Sunday. And in this Sunday especially, with these upsets, some more that we'll get into, were pretty evident. And this is why we have a regular season. Every game's not going to be a pushover. You're going to have those upsets, and you're going to have those weeks where the teams that you didn't pick to win. That's why the NFL's great. That's why I love football. That's why I love the NFL. It's awesome.
I agree. You never know. Everything changes week to week. That's why you got to take it 1 week at a time. It can never really... You hear everyone talk about just taking it one game at a time and never thinking ahead, because you never know what can happen. Everything can flip a switch in moments, so that's what's so exciting.
But with that being said, we're going to get into one that we expected to win. That was the Chiefs over the Eagles, and it was 43-28, I believe the score was. And Patrick Mahomes saw that 1-2 record and said, I'm going to get back to 500. We're going to try to get back to our winning ways. And they put up 43 points on the Eagles, who looked great week 1, did not look great week 2, looked awful week 3, and their defense looked even worse week 4.
Yeah, and not to correct you, it was 42-30.
42-30, okay.
Sorry, just gotta report the facts. But we're getting to see why all of a sudden there's a fluke with the Chiefs. They obviously had two not the best games, so we're just kind of seeing them kick back into it. And they're, I'm a little nervous for Sunday, because they're just going to come back for with a vengeance now that they're like last place in their division, which is shocking to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that AFC West is obviously the best that we've ever seen it before. And who knows, though? Like, in this Chiefs and Bills game, maybe the Chiefs scored all their valuable points in this one game, and they can't spread it out over 2 games. But who am I kidding? This is Patrick Mahomes we're talking about. So maybe I could be completely wrong on that. He could score 40 points again, but hope not. But
you can't. He's Patty Mahomes.
To say that the Chiefs are the worst team in the AFC West is shocking, and the fact that they put up 40 points and they're still the worst team, that just shows you, A, how great the AFC West is, and B, how much a season can turn on a dime when you lose the Super Bowl.
That's true. That is very true. You can never... A Super Bowl win is not just, it's like, automatically you're the best team in the league next year. It's a whole new season. Every year you start off new, and you never know what's going to happen.
I believe they call that the Super Bowl hangover. I think that's what it's called. Like, when your team goes to the playoffs, you go to the Super Bowl, and you either win it or you lose it, and then you go into the next season and you have a really, really rough start, and then you kind of pick it up towards the end. That's the Super Bowl hangover, and you're just playing catch-up the whole season. But I don't think the Chiefs are out. I think this is only the beginning for them to revamp their season. Even though they're only 2-2, 13 games left on the schedule, they'll definitely be back just by looking at them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the Ravens taking the win this week, and this was expected too. Lamar Jackson, we found out that he can run. He can also throw the ball. So he heard all the reportings from ESPN.com or every other sports article from last year that said, oh, all he does is scramble. He could only run. He's my favorite running back or whatever. He could also throw the ball, and he can throw the ball well to guys like Marquise Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see them knock out the Broncos, who were undefeated up till this point. So that's, it's a good win for them. And we see Lamar Jackson's one of those quarterbacks that maybe has fallen a little bit under the radar, not by much, but only because Patrick Mahomes and then Brady's still going, which is another story. But he's one of those ones who's still trying to prove people that he's, like you said, more than a running back. So I think he's gonna keep leading the team to some victories this season.
Yeah, part of that makes me think, was there a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson the year where they were like, oh, he's gonna be MVP again, blah blah blah? Or now, since they're only talking about Brady and Mahomes and Josh Allen, the pressure's kind of off and he can just do his own thing. Mm-hmm. That might be something that could be true, but either way, that Ravens offense, especially those wideouts, the group of wideouts that they have are very, very good. And a team that they usually beat in Denver, I was shocked to see that they only scored single-digit points. Even though they played against 0-3 teams the first 3 weeks, I wasn't counting out Teddy Bridgewater, even though he got hurt in that game. They had to put Drew Lock in. But maybe if Bridgewater played the whole game, it would be a lot closer. Maybe we'd see an overtime or something. But, what are you going to do? Broncos are 3-1, still tied for second, I believe, in that division. I think there's a 3-way tie for first in that division. I don't know what the tiebreaker is, but between the Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos, and then you have the Chiefs right below them. So they're not out by any means. This is their first loss of the season. It only took week 4. I don't think anybody was expecting that at all.
No, definitely not.
And then a low-scoring game between the Cleveland Browns and the Minnesota Vikings. So this game was extremely boring, if I must say. It was 11-7 for 2.5 quarters off of, I guess, the Vikings went down the field, scored a touchdown in the first quarter. Then the Browns came back, kicked the extra point, but then somebody jumped offside. So they said, why not go for the 2-point conversion at the 1-yard line? They got that. Then they kicked a field goal, and it was 11-7 at halftime. And then up until the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter, they kick another field goal, which were the only points in the second half. So you didn't really miss much unless you're a Vikings or Browns fan. But it's good to see the Browns in the win column again.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was definitely a defensive win for them because they only held the Vikings to 7 points. But it is definitely good to see them Browns back because it's one of those teams that you're kind of expecting to be good. And, I'm expecting a little bit more from Baker Mayfield, one of my fantasy quarterbacks.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know. He's not having the best season so far, but like you said, the Browns are still 3-1, so they're still getting by and maybe not putting up the most points, but they're still winning games. In the end.
I mean, they are what their record says they are. They're 3-1, and I mean, they're just trying to revamp from what happened last year when they went to the playoffs. They killed the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they want to go a little bit farther this year. They were maybe a drive away from going to the AFC Championship game, which is insane to think about. Cleveland Browns going to the AFC Championship, but. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Maybe he can turn it on towards the end of this season, and you never know what could happen. I mean, it's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
He looked great last year, not really in the beginning, but he sort of picked it up towards the end of the year.
Absolutely.
And the Chargers on Monday Night Football against their division rival in the Las Vegas Raiders playing at SoFi Stadium. I thought the Raiders were going to win this one because Raider Nation was alive and well in that stadium, pretty much packing half of the house. And who would have thought that the Chargers get off to a 21-0 lead right off the bat, and the Raiders were just playing catch-up the rest of the way. Renfro lays out a Chargers cornerback who was catching a fake punt pass on the sideline. It was very physical. It was a classic Raiders versus Chargers game, but the Chargers came out on top.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I think I had my money on the Chargers for this one, and they pull off. Herbert's looking really great.
Amazing.
For them. He's looking so good for that team, and so they're going to be a team to watch this season for sure.
Absolutely, and we didn't know who their quarterback was going to be once Rivers left. I remember when we thought it was Tyrod was going to be their franchise guy, or for a couple years, and then they go into this thing where it's okay, we're going to go into the draft and either get Tua or Justin Herbert. Obviously, Tua was gone before Herbert was. I'm still shocked by that, and so then the Chargers have no choice but to take him, and he's playing amazing football right now. And not only does he have the size and the strength, but he's got the intangibles, and he knows how to read off a defense. That's why the Chargers are so good. They also have a great running game in Austin Eckler and amazing receivers like Williams and Allen. And their defense is looking good, too. That pass rush with Bosa.
Yeah, for sure.
They're looking fantastic right now. And real quick, before we wrap up, it's the Bills versus the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football.
Yep, big night.
Big night.
8:20 primetime game.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to do our predictions. And I honestly, I'm probably just doing this on the fly right now because I really don't know who would win that game. But I'm going to say that the Bills win by 3. I'm going to go with 27-24 as a final score.
All right, I was going to go a lot higher, but still close game. I was going to say Bills 41 and Chiefs 37 maybe. Something like that.
Wow.
So we'll see. I don't know. I'm expecting them to put up some points.
If you're betting the over-under in this game, you have to go over because it's going to be an old-fashioned, Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady shootout. And it's going to be Allen throwing for 300-plus yards and probably Mahomes throwing for 250 to 300 yards. But it's going to be great to see. I can't wait to watch it. Don't go away because Sarah will be right back. We're going to cover the NFC side of the NFL Sunday from Week 4, so stay tuned.
We're ready for you.
Chris, your computer sucks.
If you're 65 or older, like me, you're at greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia, even if you're healthy.
People 65 plus are over 10 times more likely to land in the hospital for pneumococcal pneumonia than those 18 to 49. And it's important we all do what we can to stay healthy. So, talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination.
Hope, where are you hiding? I search for you in the seconds, the minutes of each and every day. Hear me as I call out to you. Take my hand. Lift me up as I lift up others. Welcome me home, father, mother, sister, brother, son, daughter. Hear us now. Alone we stood, divided we fell. No longer. Now we choose to make the connection. Our new mission lies within. Visit maketheconnection.net to learn more.
16 is such a significant age. I promise to help protect my eldest daughter during this exciting time in her life. Teens are at an increased risk for meningococcal disease, a rare, potentially deadly bacterial infection. But half haven't received the CDC-recommended second dose of the MenACWY vaccine at 16. I want to help change that. Take your shot against meningitis. Talk to your teen's doctor about the MenACWY vaccine and ask about MenB. Visit the16vaccine.org.
Welcome back to Sports Hour, live from Hendricks Hall, and Sarah's still here. Surprise, surprise. We're going to be covering the NFC portion of the show right now. So Week 4, a quarter of the season is already done, which is pretty insane right now. October football, we're already getting to the middle of the month for next Sunday. But for this week, though, in the NFC, to kick things off, this was a very fun game to watch. If you have NFL Sunday ticket, obviously it wasn't the local game. But Washington in a shootout against Atlanta, and Washington won this game 34-30 after trailing by 8 with 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, this was definitely a big game for them, especially after last week's loss to the Bills. But yeah, this is it was a good one. They both teams put up a lot of points on the board, and then their defenses. But Washington pulled out on top with the extra 4-point lead, so it was good for them. on that one.
And obviously, Taylor Heineke, was this his first career game-winning drive?
Yeah, actually.
I think it was.
Yeah.
And no better team to beat than the Atlanta Falcons. Because I think that should be the team in the NFC. They just have such bad luck.
Yeah,
that should be the team in the NFC that teams on the schedule look at and they circle the Falcons and they say win. This should be a guaranteed win. And Washington to go in there, put up 30 after they gave up 40 plus to the Bills the previous week. This has to be a spirit-lifting win for Washington.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the Falcons just. There's the other team you feel bad for in the NFC. I do feel bad. They're just really struggling, and but Washington pulled out the win, so that, like you said, a spirit lifter for them, and we'll see how they take it forward with the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I like Matt Ryan. At the same time, I feel so bad for him too. Like, his receivers just can't get open. They don't catch the ball. The defense doesn't show up when it has to. They take stupid penalties, but this is probably going to be Matt Ryan's final season, and he wants to end it on a good note because, when you're going into your final season, knowing that a few years prior you were this close from winning the Super Bowl, you were up by 25 points in the third quarter, and you couldn't lift up that Lombardi trophy, you'd think that you go into this season and act like, I have to win it now. And we just haven't seen that from the Falcons this year at all.
Yes, absolutely.
But Washington doing their thing, good for them. I think they're kind of the underdog in the NFC that I'm secretly pulling for this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe hopefully by the end we'll have a name.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, man. But the next game, though, we're staying in the NFC. This is the NFC North, an old matchup between the Bears and the Lions. Bears take this one 24-14. This was Justin Fields' best game of the season. They took a 21-0 lead. The Lions were starting to come back for a while, but I think the highlight of this game was how accurate and how much Justin Fields' IQ in the pocket raised from week 3 to week 4.
I know, we really saw him definitely pop off this week, and that'll be definitely good for the team in the future, and we'll have to see, keep following him. But yeah, he definitely had what we want to see in a franchise quarterback in the NFL. So, good for him, as you said. But
And was this his first career win as a starter?
I believe it was, too.
This is kind of an ongoing theme. You have Zach Wilson's first win. You have Taylor Heineke's first career game-winning drive, and then you have Justin Fields winning his first game. The only guy up there that doesn't have, the big highlight name that doesn't have a win yet is Trevor Lawrence, and he might get one because they're facing against Tennessee next week. Tennessee lost to the Jets. So any given Sunday, anything could happen. But the Bears over the Lions, they were up 21-0, kind of put their foot off the gas and were going for it on fourth downs when they're up by 14, which was kind of dumb, missing field goals, only kicking one field goal in the fourth quarter to end the game. I guess it was enough, though, because they won 24-14, but Jared Goff on one play snapped the ball, it hit him in the leg, and didn't even bounce off the ground, landed in a Chicago Bears defensive lineman's hands. That is the most Detroit Lion play ever. I think that happened in the red zone, too. But if you're a Lions fan, I don't think that you're sold on Jared Goff at all. I think you're trying to call up Matt Stafford and bring in the best negotiator over to L.A., trying to bring him back to Detroit.
Exactly.
But going from Matt Stafford, his caliber quarterback play, to Jared Goff, who's subpar at best, and the Lions are saying, hey, we want to win a Super Bowl, I really don't believe that. Because if you want to win the Super Bowl, you would give Matt Stafford anything he wants. Give him the best receivers.
Yeah.
Give him the best offensive line. Give the fans what they want. But Detroit's just kind of they're just there, and they're not winning anything. They're not terrible, but they're not very good at the same time. They've been at this for decades now.
Yeah, they're just kind of staying right in the middle, if even the middle, but just staying subpar, just kind of plateauing. And
yeah,
you want to see, you don't want to see a team stay like that forever. You want to see a team. I mean, you don't want to see them lose, but if you do that, at least you have a way to work up to. But then you obviously you want them to keep improving and getting better.
I mean, we got the Browns winning now in the AFC side, so why not the Lions?
Exactly.
Next game, high-scoring shootout between the Dallas Cowboys and Carolina Panthers. Sam Darnold gets his first career loss as a Carolina Panther, and Cowboys 36-28, high-scoring game. Dak Prescott, once again, I'll say on the show, the Cowboys are back.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I mean, you're just seeing a whole new side to this team now that Dak Prescott is back, which is so good for them, and he's really leading them. They're, I think 3-1 now.
Yeah.
They're doing really well, and we've seen them kind of struggle a little bit. Obviously, last year was not ideal with Prescott getting injured.
That's an understatement. Yep.
Yeah, understatement of the year.
Totally.
Yeah, so we're definitely seeing them really kind of step up, and they're definitely could be a team who's in playoff contention for sure.
Absolutely. And then staying in the NFC East, the New York Football Giants in an upset take down the New Orleans Saints in OT with a walk-off touchdown from Saquon Barkley. Just like Dak Prescott, Saquon Barkley is back too. He scored a receiving touchdown when they were down 21-10, and he scores the game-winning touchdown when the score is tied 21-21 in overtime to win the game 27-21 in the Superdome. So a very hard place to win in the NFL, and the Giants come out on top for their first win of the season.
I know, and it's good for them, and they're definitely one of those teams where we've been talking about, feeling sorry for the first 3 weeks, or like, oh, those Giants fans, the Jets too, but
yes, you can't forget the Jets.
Yeah, you can't forget the Jets. Those New York teams, man. I suppose Buffalo.
Those New Jersey teams.
New Jersey teams, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, no, this was a good, maybe not necessarily full confidence booster, but a surprise, not necessarily a surprise win, but it was a good just win for them to put on their season so far, and hopefully they can get some momentum from actually coming out on top for a game. And like you said, and especially in overtime too, that's always a very fun, entertaining thing to do.
Yeah, this is why the NFL is crazy, because the Giants will go out and get completely blown out by the Broncos, but then they'll go into the Superdome and win it in overtime.
Right. It makes no sense sometimes.
I don't get it. It's any given Sunday, I guess. Week 4 has been crazy with the upsets.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you bet a parlay in Week 4, I feel so bad for you. But yeah, Giants are crawling back into the playoff hunt. They needed this win, and they got it. So big win for the Giants. And the Cardinals beating up on the Rams 37-20. This one actually took me by surprise too.
Yeah.
Like, I know that Kyler Murray's a great quarterback, and I know that DeAndre Hopkins is a great receiver. Used to play for Deshaun Watson. That's why I thought of him.
Yeah.
But I didn't think that the defense would get to Matt Stafford the way that they did. I was shocked.
That was definitely the surprise of the night. I mean, they weren't letting him get by too easily. So I don't know. I think that was definitely what happened with why the loss happened.
Yeah.
For sure. So.
I mean, Stafford was throwing interceptions. Receivers weren't getting open. They were turning the ball over. It just did not look like the Rams. And I thought that they were the best team in the league, the most complete team in the league.
Yeah.
But this is also a divisional game. These things happen. They're usually back and forth. But, I mean, 37 points on that Rams defense. I'm so shocked by that. But these things happen in the NFL. It's an ongoing theme.
And, of course, I decided to put their defense in for
my
fantasy.
Man.
Because you're expecting them to do better.
That's what you expect, at least.
Do better.
But this one had me jumping up and down. Number one, well, kind of. I know the quarterback for the Bucks, but they beat the team that I absolutely cannot stand, and that's the New England Patriots. They beat them 19-17. And very low-scoring game. I was surprised. They were getting the running game going, and the passing game really was not a factor with Brady coming back to his homecoming game. But with this win that the Bucs had, that puts Tom Brady with Drew Brees and Peyton Manning, and I might be forgetting somebody else, but as the only quarterbacks to beat every single team in the NFL, all 32 teams.
Oh, jeez. Oh, yippee. No, that's good. I mean, that's good. We aren't necessarily Brady fans, but you still gotta give the guy props. And I mean, it was quite an accomplishment, as much as we hate to say it. But yeah, I was honestly surprised that this wasn't more of a like a washout with Brady and all of his talent. I'm surprised he didn't kind of walk over the Patriots more. But
the Patriots were winning for a while, I believe, like
Yeah.
14-13, I think the score was. Very low scoring. They're up 7-6 too. It was definitely a shocker to see.
yeah, absolutely.
But, you know, I was thinking maybe another upset, but maybe Mac Jones can dethrone Tom Brady. That'd be the ultimate confidence boost, but didn't happen. The Bucs won by 2, and Bill Belichick in his post-game press conference was not having it when they were asking him about Tom Brady. So, yeah, that's just Bill Belichick.
Yeah, that's the coach.
The Seahawks, though, over the 49ers, they finally get a win back after the Niners took an early 14-0 lead in this game. I was surprised that the Seahawks were coming back. Like, they looked absolutely dead in the third quarter. Turning the ball over in the first half, and in the third quarter, they lead off the drive with a fumble, I believe. And I thought the Niners were just going to steamroll them the whole game. But Seahawks get back in the win column and a big divisional win over the 49ers.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you look at Russell Wilson, has always been one of those, like, bigger names, maybe kind of fallen off a little bit with, I don't know, like Kyler Murray and Patrick Mahomes coming into the picture more lately. But, you know, he still definitely got it. He still got it in him. He's still been leading to the wins for the Seahawks. So, like you said, another good divisional win for the team.
Yeah, definitely one that will go down to the wire in the playoffs when they have to talk about tiebreakers. But real quick before we wrap this up, a great 4:25 game on CBS. The Packers beat the Steelers 27-17. The Packers have a 3-1 record now. And Mr. $14 million, Big Ben Roethlisberger, the Steeler fans want him benched, and for good reason, I think.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the only one they had was, unfortunately, against with the Bills at the beginning.
Yeah.
But he is just not, I think it might be time for Big Ben to retire.
Is it Dwayne Haskins' time? I don't know. I don't think so either. I don't think he's a very good quarterback, but the Steelers are going to be going through a little bit of a rebuild over the next couple years. You can expect that entirely. So there were some great games this week.
There were.
Amazing games.
Yeah.
And Sarah, thank you for coming on for both segments. And Topher will come back. We're talking about the crazy MLB postseason setup. So don't go away. Don't talk.
If you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul.
You've messed up your son's haircut. Do you try to fix it? Work with what you've got? Or show solidarity?
Thank you, babe. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
Había un niño que era muy sensible a luces y sonidos. Construía escondites donde no podían entrar. No le gustaba mirar a la gente a los ojos. Lo hacía sentir incómodo. Un día se descubrió que tenía autismo. Con ayuda poco a poco aprendió a vivir mejor con ello.
Mientras más pronto se diagnostique, mejor. Conoce las señales en autismspeaks.org.
Your son wants to get a cat, but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
Good job.
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation.
We can.
Get someone a cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates, our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can.
Intervene.
It's on us.
All of us.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Topher Elkins joins me to talk about the MLB postseason setup. And Topher, the wild card race is finally over. And we have the layout of the 2021 MLB postseason. It's a pretty darn good one, if I must say.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think these two wild card play-in games are probably two of the best ones we could have asked for in terms of like storyline and matchups.
Yes, absolutely. Rivalries, storylines, whatever you want to look at. Tonight, currently right now, we have the Red Sox and the Yankees playing in the top of the 5th inning. And the Red Sox are up 3-0. So remember, this is a wild card game. If you win, you advance. If you lose, you go home. So this is this is pretty much a Game 7 for both the Red Sox fans and Yankee fans that are button heads here in this one in the stands.
Yeah, just lately, like the Yankees not the Yankees, the Red Sox just keep getting to Garrett Cole. I don't know what it is. Like Kiki Hernandez just has Garrett Cole's number, and I just don't seem to get it. There's just no batter that on a consistent basis really seems to get after Garrett Cole like he does.
Right, and in Game 162, going back to I believe it was Sunday, we had no idea if the Red Sox were even going to be in the wild card because the Blue Jays were winning and the Red Sox were down 5-1 to the Nationals. If the Blue Jays won and the Red Sox lost, I believe the Blue Jays would have had the tiebreaker over them. We would have been looking at a completely different game here tonight. And then Rafael Devers obviously leads the comeback, and they beat the Nationals, who had absolutely nothing to play for. But that's the beauty of the playoffs. All you have to do is make it, and anything can happen.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most exciting things, especially just because it was that AL. It was basically just who in that AL East was going to end up getting in it. Like the Mariners had that small chance, but it was definitely between Boston and Toronto at the end of the day.
Yeah, and one of the Mariners that I believe won't be coming back to the organization next year that had an emotional goodbye was Kyle Seeger, as he was, every fan in the stands was rocking their Seeger jersey. He is an AL West killer. Any team he faces against in the AL West, he's going to hit a home run off of guaranteed. And, it's going to be weird to see him in another uniform next year, though.
Yeah, for sure. He's a fan favorite. Like, every Mariners fan in the past year, 2 years, just started just beloving Kyle Seeger. Like, he just hits bombs. Like, he really does. Like, he just kills the ball, especially against the AL West, like you said.
He's such a smart player in general, too. Like, he won't make those stupid plays to ground you into a double play. Like, if he's going to ground out, he's going to make sure he grounds it all the way to third, so you're not going to have that chance to get him out at second and first for the double play. He's not always trying to steal. Like his IQ in baseball is just fantastic. It's going to be so fun to see where he goes. I believe it's going to be the Kyle Seeger sweeps all offseason long. But before we can even think about the offseason, let's get into this NL wildcard game that's going to be aired, I think, tomorrow night at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time between the Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. And I believe on the mound is Max Scherzer against Wainwright. So this is going to be a very good game. In terms of pitching,
Yeah, for sure. It's a battle of their aces. Like, those are the two guys you expected to go on the mound when it came to a win-now situation. And, of course, Scherzer, currently the NL Cy Young favorite. Dude's just been absolutely dealing anytime he steps on the mound this year. And then Wainwright's that consistent veteran who's been here before. He's won a World Series.
Yep.
He knows what he has to do in a playoff situation, which is just going to be a fun game to end up sitting down and watching.
And you'd think that in this game, in both games really, both wild card games, that they're going to extend these pitchers deep into the game, maybe 6 or 7 innings, to save their bullpen if they win for the AL or for the divisional series, then maybe the championship series going in the World Series. It's going to be interesting to see how these managers decide who's going to be in the pen, who's going to be a starter, when they're going to take the starter out. That's always been an interesting thing with me. Like when your season is on the line, is your manager going to be clutch and he's going to make the right decisions in terms of the bullpen?
Yeah, because obviously you look at a situation like the World Series last year with the Rays fans obviously questioning like the decision to pull out, who was it? It was
Blake Snell.
Yeah, Blake Snell. Pulling out Blake Snell early, obviously against the Dodgers, who he was doing well against every time he played them. And it just kind of got into a weird situation, like what if type of thing. You never know if it's going to end well or not, but obviously you don't know if you don't leave him in, which when he's just an absolute just dealer of a pitcher.
Right, and the next batter, I believe, in that game where they took Snell out of the game, led off with a double on the first pitch, and the game was over right then and there.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's really important that your manager knows what he's doing and that he can make the right decisions at the right time. Because even going back to the 2019 World Series where Hinch took out Zach Greinke after he gave up the home run to, I believe it was Juan Soto, maybe?
I think it was.
Or Rendon, or whoever it was, or Justin Upton, maybe?
I think it might have been Upton, now that you say it. Yeah.
And then the Astros put in Will Harris, and one got on with a walk, and then Howie Kendrick rung one off the foul pole on an opposite field home run. That'd be the game-winning run. So the managers are way more involved in the game than the casual fan thinks. Yeah. And it is a team game in the dugout and on the field at the same time. That's a lot of things that MLB fans just simply don't understand most of the time.
Yeah, a lot of people who tend to join in specifically for the postseason don't realize that it is like, people say like football's a chess match, but like baseball is a chess match too, between what your lineups you're gonna set every night, because obviously you have different batters like on the side of the plate. You have the lefties versus the righties, those kind of matchups between pitchers and stuff. And I think it just gets really it's really interesting when you have guys like the Yankees specifically, when you have players like Voit or Rizzo, before Voit got hurt, who they were going to play on any given night.
Yeah.
Gardner versus Gallo, kind of like those type of lineups. You really like sit there and watch and think, okay, what's going through the manager's head in terms of like what is he thinking on any given night?
And is your manager an analytical guy? Like, does he go by, the odds are slim if I throw against a left-handed batter, or if I throw in a left-handed pitcher here, what are the numbers for this team against left-handed pitchers? Like, there are just managers that think on the fly, then there's managers that do their research and just go by analytics alone. It really just depends on how you manage your team, and that's one of the most important parts of this playoff. A lot of, the whole postseason in general, especially the World Series too, but these wild card games, there's a reason why they call it the wild card, because every game is a Game 7. You win, you advance, you lose, you watch from home.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why I love it. I love it.
No, it's exciting for sure.
And then for the teams that clinch their division, they automatically qualify for the divisional series. And jumping right into the first set of series here in the American League, it is the Houston Astros hosting the Chicago White Sox. My prediction about this one, I think it's going to be back and forth, and Houston will edge them out in 5. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. I would probably put it more towards 6, just because I think the Chicago White Sox are a little bit going under the radar. I think a lot of people are just thinking, the Astros have been here before. They're going to just they're going to beat down a team like the White Sox who hasn't been in the playoffs in a bit. I think they're going to kind of fly under the radar and actually give them a bigger challenge than they really think.
Yeah, and the Astros towards the end of the season were slumping hard, and then they finally got the win when they had their magic number at 1. And then they started to pick it up a little bit, but they're not looking the same as they did. So this is not the right time for Houston to start to get cold. And going into the postseason, this could be a spark for the Chicago White Sox. We don't know who's pitching for Chicago in Game 1, but for Houston, it's their number 1 ace, I believe, in Lance McCullers Jr.
Yeah, no, obviously that's the guy in any playoff situation. You want to start off strong. You want your number 1 pitcher to get out there. Obviously, when you have a strong 1-2, it helps in case you don't have that guy. If you're in the wild card situation, you need to bring up the next guy. But if you're that divisional guy, you want to start off with the big win, the big ace, the guy who's just going to go out there and possibly strike out 10 guys on any given night.
Yeah, I expect to see maybe Carlos Rodon against Lance McCullers Jr. I wouldn't be surprised by that in Game 1. Or if we go to Game 5, which is very possible, we see Lance McCullers again.
Yeah,
and then maybe just work around your bullpen, maybe throw another starter in there to relieve in the 7th or the 8th, because at that point your series and your season is on the line. Because if you remember, the divisional series are always best 3 out of 5. Not every series is best 4 out of 7. So this is definitely an interesting kind of playoff format, but it really does work in the MLB.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because obviously you look at something like the NBA where it's every series is best of 7, and it kind of drags, and it definitely has a wear on a lot of guys like bodies. But the MLB, it's you have your first win and you have your best of 5, then you have your between the championship series and the World Series, then that's your best of 7. So that makes it kind of interesting in terms of like it's shorter until you get into that like games that like you're gonna get into the World Series if you win out.
Yeah, it's less daunting on your mental state, too, because, like, if you watch the NHL or you watch the NBA, in every single playoff series that goes to 7 or best 4 out of 7, it takes a toll on them physically as well as mentally, too. Like, sometimes they're just burned out, they're gassed out, they're not ready for the next series. With baseball, you just stand up at a plate, you try to hit a ball as far as you can, and it starts off with best 3 out of 5, which is perfect because the series that you really need to focus on are the championship series that will get you into the World Series, and obviously the World Series where you can either have the option of winning it all or losing it all. And I think that's just a perfect thing that the MLB does. I would never change it. And if you're truly the best team, it doesn't matter what kind of series you play because you'll just win anyway. So that's just how I look at it. And so Chicago and Houston, I think, is going to be very good. That's going to be an underrated series that people should tune into. And then the other ALDS series is an undetermined, either Boston or New York, the winner of this game tonight, traveling to Tampa Bay for the first 2 games in this series. Let's just go through some hypotheticals here. If the Yankees come back tonight and win, do you think that would be a better series than maybe watching Boston and Tampa Bay in terms of like viewership and back and forth action?
Viewership, I definitely think it would be higher just because it's the Yankees. Like the Yankees are gonna pull numbers no matter what. They have overall the bigger names in Judge and Stanton and Rizzo right now. They have Garrett Cole on the mound if he does end up pulling us back somehow. But Boston's that scrap. As much as it pains me to admit it, Boston is that scrappy team who could give Tampa a run for their money if they get to that situation. But personally, I obviously want to see Yankees somehow pull this back, make it a great comeback, and really give the Tampa Bay a challenge. Like they kind of like to, specifically against Tampa, they like to be scrappy against them. Like Yankees just kind of get after it against those divisional opponents on any given series.
Right, and one thing's for sure, no matter who wins this game, it's going to be an AL East rivalry showdown. So I think either or, New York Yankees win or the Boston Red Sox win, it's going to be a really good series. This one might go to 5 as well because the divisional games are always back and forth. And every single, whether you're in the National League or the American League, every division, you can sweep them in April, and then by the time July rolls around, you can be the team that gets swept by the same team. I love divisional games for this reason, and the American League definitely has a solid playoff tree forming for them right now.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting if it is the Yankees because that'd be a rematch of the championship series last year, right?
Right, that's right.
That'd be an ALCS rematch. It'll be another playoff thing. Also, they're just so used to each other, both of these teams, between the Boston, Tampa, and New York. They know each other inside and out at this point. Like, there's nothing they can do that'll really surprise them, and they're just going to go after it with each other.
Right, and the rivalry between Chapman and I believe it was Austin Meadows, maybe, who ducked a 101-mile-per-hour fastball. Maybe that heat picks up if the Yankees win this wild card game. That'd definitely be fun to see them in another postseason matchup because the Rays won, was it the divisional series in 4 games last year, I believe? Maybe it was 5. It was close, I remember that.
Yeah, it was. They won the divisional series in 5. I think it went to all 5 because it was a weird game 5 if I remember correctly. I can't remember the specifics.
It was low scoring.
Yeah.
Not a lot of hits were being made, and you had to be the lucky team to hit a big
couple
fly.
Errors throughout the game too that really caused it to be weird if I remember correctly. I couldn't remember specifics. I just remember being a frustrated Yankees fan.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay, who's hungry for another World Series appearance, I don't think they're going to say die anytime soon. So no matter who wins this game, the Yankees or Red Sox, the Rays are going to give them a tough fight all the way in this 5-game series if it gets to that point. And then moving on to the NLDS, the first one on our list is the Atlanta Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers. I don't think this one will be as close as what people think. I honestly think the Brewers take this one in 3 or 4.
Yeah, I could see 3. I don't want to say sweep just because like saying sweep is very like old-fashioned. Like, yeah, they're just a better team. They should sweep it. But like 3 is realistic, and then 4 is like, yeah, if it goes to 4, I really just see the Brewers winning it there.
I can see a gentleman sweep. I mean, the Brewers host the first 2 games, so more likely than not, the Braves will be already stuck in a 2-game hole unless they win either Game 1 or Game 2. And then Games 3 and 4 are in Atlanta. They're without Ronald Acuna Jr. And then Milwaukee has the Game 5 for extra insurance, too, if they need that. I don't think it'll go to 5. I'd be shocked if it goes to 5. But you normally don't see sweeps too often. It's hard to sweep a team in any sport, even in the regular season series in baseball or playoff series in hockey or basketball. It's hard to sweep. So I'm going to say Milwaukee takes this 1 in 4 in Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree. I think 4 is the realistic way to look at it, for sure.
So, not a lot of people are talking about the Braves just because they're not really. I mean, they won their division, but I don't think they're really a complete team without Acuna.
I think they kind of fell into it because Acuna was obviously great while he was healthy, and then once he went down, I think morale kind of shifted away from him a little bit, and now they're just kind of in off of just having a bad division, frankly.
Yeah, and Christian Yelich, he wants a championship in Milwaukee. I bet you he was there when the Bucks won the NBA title and was like, man, I want one of those. And I mean, just looking at his social media, like on Instagram and Twitter, he's always staying out on the field after a loss for like an extra 20 minutes, just sitting down to take it in. He is a guy that wants to win, and he's definitely on a mission. Obviously, one of the best players in the MLB right now, for sure. But to see him win a title or have a legitimate shot at a title would be very good, because I believe in 2018 he came close, but they lost in either the divisional series or championship series when the Dodgers faced the Red Sox.
I believe it was divisional. I don't think it was championship. I don't think they've made the championship in a while.
No.
I think it was divisional.
I remember they upset some team. Maybe it was the Nationals in the wild card, and everyone was just pulling behind the Brewers all the way.
Yeah.
And obviously the Dodgers happened, and I think they have enough firepower. Obviously 95 plus wins for them. Closer to 100, I believe. I think they have 98 wins on the season.
Yeah.
But if going by analytically, I think they should blow the Atlanta Braves out of the water.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the NLDS is the winner of the wild card between the Dodgers and the Cardinals will play the San Francisco Giants, who I must say are the best team in baseball as of right now. The most electric team, one of the most fun teams to watch right now, especially in the National League.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, but I honestly want to go with whatever team wins that wild card game against them. I think both of these teams are hot, between the Dodgers being like having guys like Scherzer, and they've been here before, they know what to do, and then St. Louis just being this hot team right now. I really think that whoever wins this wild card game has a chance to beat the Giants too.
Yeah, I can see that wild card being just a pitching duel, maybe low scoring. Maybe a 2-1 or a 3-2 walk-off game, and we're going to be seeing, no matter what, a team with a great stacked pitching or rotation between the Cardinals or the Dodgers going up against the most electric team in baseball, and the Giants. So can the Giants be shut down? It's possible. This is baseball. They still lost 50-plus games in 162 games. They lost 50 games, so it's possible for them to lose 3 games. That's the way I look at it in the divisional series. But do you have any predictions of what a potential ALCS or NLDS might look like? This might be a little bit early, but I can give you my predictions right away.
Yeah, at the moment, I know what I want it to be. I want it to be a rematch of Yankees-Astros just because I think that would be crazy.
That would be amazing.
I think it'd be so exciting to watch. But realistically, I think it's going to be a rematch of Tampa and Houston.
Yeah.
I really do. I just think that at the moment, they're the best teams in the AL. They should just do their job and win. In the NL, I think it's going to be whoever gets into the CS is going to be the winner of that wild card game between the Dodgers and St. Louis and then the Milwaukee Brewers.
Okay, yeah, I like that a lot. I definitely agree with you on the American League one between the Astros and the Rays. But the NLDS, I definitely want to throw Milwaukee in there. But I'm going to take a shot in the dark, and I'm going to say the Dodgers and the Brewers are going to go to the NLCS. I think the Dodgers know how to beat the Giants. They play them at least they're in the same division, so 16 times a year, I believe.
Enough, for
They
sure.
play them enough times a year. They know how to beat them. They know how to get around them. But that's my early prediction. And then Topher, thanks for coming on. We can't wait to see how this playoff is going to form. Even going into next week, I believe all the divisional games will be pretty much wrapped up by then. But thanks for coming on, and come back next week, same time, same place. We'll be here. So just come back next week and have a great night.